Zuckerberg did respond in a memo to employees that he then reshared on Facebook. I mean, it's really the first time we've heard from senior leadership at Facebook since all of this has kind of come to light in recent days, recent weeks.
Yeah, I think there was a compelling case that there needs to be more change in the system and across social. This isn't just about Facebook, but about Snap and others. As parents that look at our kids on these platforms, there's definitely needs to be more controls. That being said, advertisers right now that we speak to are not changing their course. The targeting on Facebook is the best. They're spending the most money on Facebook. And unless that targeting changes, they're not leaving. So I think right now you have effectively more things that Facebook needs to do to control the overall system. But I think ultimately the advertisers are the ones that vote, and they're the ones that pay. And they're voting right now to stay, and users are staying with them. So ultimately, I think this is going to effectively be a storm that comes through. And in past storms, this has been a great buying opportunity. This is a stock that trades at multiple turns below Google, trades in low 20s on an earnings multiple, and has visibility to $15 to $20 of earnings power. And all you have to do is put a low 20 multiple on it, and you're getting a much higher stock. So short term, look, investors are going to sit tight, probably wait till the October 25th earnings date. I'm sure that they'll pour cold water on the forecast like they usually do, and everyone will freak out, and that will end up being a great opportunity. So short term, I think there's no question there's going to be duress around the stock. There are other places to be in digital advertising. But I think ultimately over time, this has proven a long time on regulatory. We've been talking about this on your show for years. This is an opportunity.
Yes, I mean, we have been talking about the possibility of regulatory risk quite literally for years, Brent. But the testimony we got yesterday, the thousands of pages of documents that were taken from the company in the process, that doesn't move the needle at all on the regulatory landscape and the standstill that we have seen. Maybe that potentially moving forward where Congress is concerned. And if so, does that change the investor thesis, or is it still too far away to be considered, at least right now?
I think if you have to look at the industry. You can't take, for example, one team and say one team is regulated and this is their rules and the other team's going to have this. The overall internet industry needs a playbook. And so this will impact Snap and others. As a parent, I opened up Snap yesterday and I was alarmed at what you see on the front page of Snap. This isn't a Facebook only issue. This is an industry issue. So this is going to impact the industry. Well, if the rest of the industry goes through this, who's going to end up outperforming and having better targeting? And so I'm arguing, look, things need to change. I'm a parent. I want my kids to be safe. Things definitely need to change. But ultimately, the industry is going to change. And I think that ultimately, you're going to see, that the industry have to shift and that Facebook will outperform the industry on these shifts. And that's really what I think needs to happen. Does that impact the entire industry? We have internet valuations at 20 times earnings. We have software multiples at 50 times revenue. So I would argue that a lot of these multiples are already embedding a lot of the overhang. And we're not sitting here saying, the coast is clear and it's amazing. There's certainly things that we need to get through. But ultimately, again, you look at when Zuckerberg was in Congress a few years ago, the stock's up 100%. So we want to address these issues, but we also look at, how do investors make money? And in times like this, usually when the stock gets hit, that's when you've made a lot of money in the stock.